It's the last game of a homestand, a quick 3-game homestand for the Phoenix Suns, and they win it. That's 3 straight at home, 4 overall in a row for the Suns. Or maybe it's 5 now. Hell, I know they've won 7 out of their last 8 and like 26 of their last 32. Matthew, as I bring you into the Suns Jam Session podcast, do we really understand and appreciate how good this team has been over the last 32 games?
I guess not. I don't know. We keep hearing that. Even EJ was talking about today where someone approached them like, hey, we should have won the last game by 30. It's like really like, I think we got over that a while ago, right, John, where we are appreciative. We talk about Ayton a lot. We criticize this team a lot, but we are appreciative. I think about the Suns constantly, 23 hours a day, and a lot in my dreams. And I love everything about them right now.
I really appreciate everything that's going on because for so long, all you could think about is how hard everything is in the NBA, how every victory is just drawn out. And if we could win in the past, it was almost a miracle. And it was just, razor thin margins that led to the Suns ultimately winning, but most of the time losing. And now you look at it, we're winning by 37 over Oklahoma City. This was easily the easiest game of the season to watch. And it felt nice to relax and watch a basketball game, man.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, I wrote the piece today to recap, and it was very easy to watch. And honestly, I kind of like watching this Thunder team. I'm a big Poku fan. I love watching that guy. Who knows what the hell he's going to do on the court? So, I mean, if the Suns are blowing somebody out, I think it's okay to watch and kind of root for one guy, right? I mean, if they're going to win by 37, I think that's okay.
Yeah, you got to be like, well, I want somebody to score for the opposition. I mean,
exactly.
And somebody has to. And ultimately, it was that Maledon kid tonight. But obviously, another solid victory for the Phoenix Suns on a Friday night. And I'll tell you, man, it was a long week at work. It was hot today. It was over 90 degrees, on April 2nd. And, April Fool's was yesterday. And I got to admit, isn't that like the dumbest holiday? Like, what other faux holidays are out there that are stupider than April Fool's? Or do you like April Fool's?
I don't mind it because I never even think about it because no one does it anymore. When you get to be an adult, a grown man like myself, a lot of people just don't pull those kind of jokes on me, and I kind of miss it. So April Fool's has just always been fun. I just don't think about it because no one does anything.
I just think it's like I'm on Twitter all the time. Twitter's full of trolls, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, April Fool's is just like a Tuesday to me because in all honesty, nobody is, I see trolls all the time. I don't need to be reminded that trolls exist on April Fool's. But anyways.
Well, do you love the trolls like Kevin Durant does? Do you love to go at him?
No. I have no burner accounts either like he does either. So that's the only way to go at him and or respond to them. But that being said, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Suns Jam Session podcast. John and Matthew, that's how we get the word jam. We're pretty smart. We're pretty genius. No one trolled us on that when we came up with that. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you, and go ahead and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button to let all the other Suns fans know where to get the best Suns content on the interwebs. If you're listening on the Bright Side of the Sun podcast network, go ahead, subscribe, rate, and review. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, give us one of those 5-star reviews and leave us a little comment. I didn't look today, but I'm sure we have some new comments in there, some new 5-star reviews, so we really appreciate that. You can follow us at Suns Jam on Instagram, Twitter, and the Phoenix Fans app. You can follow me on Twitter at Darth Voida, and you can follow Matthew on Twitter
at Matthew Lissy.
What are you giggling at?
I don't know. I'm just kind of happy right now.
Yeah, I think that's,
I got this Diet Coke. There's maybe something in it. I don't know.
I know you're a Sailor Jerry's kind of girl, so maybe you're having a good Friday night over there.
It's not. It's a little bit of vodka in there, just a tiny bit.
Just a tad. Well, I mean, you did have to write the piece for Brightside, so it'll be fun to go back and see if your punctuation's wrong. I'm like, there's the vodka.
No, it's just that's me normally.
There's the polka. There's the polka. That's me normally. I don't know when to use commas, so I just
I gotta learn.
randomly.
I got a couple more years, and I'll pick it up. A couple more years.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job. So, Jamsters who are watching, I hope you got something cold to drink. I got me a Coors Banquet beer. Pretty
it's been a while, man. It's been a while.
I was driving home today, and I go, you know what? I'm feeling the banquet bear. Yes. The banquet.
He's back, baby. He's back.
I'm badass again. So let's crack them open if you got them. Oh man, look at the cold coming out of that. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go Suns, baby. Yes. As Jesus Mendoza says in the chat, the banquet beer is back, baby. So had to pull it out considering the Suns went on for a dominating 37-point victory over the Oklahoma City Thunder on a Friday night here in Phoenix. And I got to ask you, Matthew, you did write the Bright Side recap for this game. One, everyone remember to go to brightsideofthesun.com and read that recap. And two, what did you call it?
What did I call it? What was the headline?
What was the headline? How did you describe this win?
The Suns win. Well, it's funny. If we want to talk about my writing, actually, the preview I wrote, I thought this would be a close game. I honestly did. I thought it might be a close game. The Thunder are like 6-6 in the last 12 games. So who knows with this team? But when I wrote it, I basically was just saying, let's focus on the fourth quarter and let's see this bench play. I want some Stix minutes. But we got Tyshawn Alexander coming into the game too. So that was also a present. I love that. So I was really focused towards the fourth quarter to see if the Suns bench can play the whole fourth quarter, not let the starters come back in.
Yeah, and Monty let those starters stay in probably about 2 minutes too long, but still, I like the way that they played overall. Stix minutes, we definitely got him. I actually kind of wrote down possession by possession and how he played just to give everybody a recap because I know everybody's always calling for those Stix minutes. So I actually kind of broke down what exactly that. Yeah. Okay, good. We can both nice. We can both do it together. It would be great. Just for those of you who are watching along live in the YouTube chat, we do have a new feature in there. It's the super chat. So if you want to donate to the pod, to both me and Matthew to help us keep this podcast going, go ahead and hit the little money button and give us $100 each. Matthew needs some new Jordans, baby. Matthew needs some new Jordans.
I do. First one ever.
Yeah, I forgot you don't own any Jordans at all. So starting this game was the Valley Oop play. And I don't know if you've noticed this play, but essentially if Deandre Ayton wins the tip and Chris Paul gets it, Deandre Ayton tries a back cut and goes for a Valley Oop. And I've noticed this. They started doing it probably about 20 games ago. And good defenses are aware they've seen the film and they cut off Deandre Ayton. But in the past 3-4 games, that's been the first 2 points of the game. Have you noticed this play?
Yes, I have. Actually, I started off my recap with that because the last game they started the same exact way, and I think they did it twice. And I think one of them went through. The other one was kind of just a mishap. But this is something that I feel like Deandre Ayton's kind of excited about. You can see him at the jump tip. He wants to get that ball. Have you noticed a difference in that? To where he'll go up and he'll be excited. He can't wait. And I feel like he's always cheating on the jump ball. He's always on the other side. They just jump it up anyways. But he's excited to do that because he knows he'll have a chance to start the game out fresh with an alley-oop. And I think that's something he really looks forward to.
Yeah, it's funny because when you look at late game situations for the Suns, and if it comes down to a jump ball, I feel like Deandre Ayton's 0-8 in those situations. But he's hungry at the very beginning of the game because he knows that it's going to pay off for him. And that's, that's awesome for him. Getting those points, getting him started off right, seeing Chris Paul look for him. It's something that I really like to see how the game starts. And when he does that, it's putting him out there on the right foot. And it gives everybody in Suns fandom a little, kind of a smile on their face, if they will, because they're always saying DeAndre should dunk. And when you get that Valley Oop out of the way right off the bat, you can be like, hey, look, there it was right there. And a quick shout out to Jesus Mendoza for the $4.99 donation, man. You the man. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
So moving on from the Deandre Ayton kind of Valley Oop, the Suns started out fast in this game. They were scoring on the fast break. 10 of the first 17 points came via the fast break, which is not necessarily the bread and butter of this team. But when you're playing a young, very inexperienced team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, you're going to run into those situations in which they're going to give you things offensively that you're not used to. Other NBA defenses can stop fast breaks, avoid letting the Suns try to do that. The Suns went right at it, man. I mean, they 24-5 to start off the game, man.
Yeah, it was incredible. On the fast break that you brought up, it's something that you kind of forget this year, right? Because we're not really a fast break team.
Not at all.
We're not at all. So when you see it, it's fun. It's fresh. It's something that I've been missing this season. But I mean, you don't pay attention to it too much. Kind of like free throws, right? For the Suns, we're doing such a good job everywhere else. Why kind of focus on those two things that we're not really succeeding at? It's just not the way we play anymore. So for us to go against the Thunder, who were making mistakes early. They were stepping on the out of bounds line 2 possessions in a row, throwing the ball away. I mean, you got Poku on the offensive end who just wants the ball, and if he doesn't get the ball, he's going to throw a little fit. And I love that about him. And that's the thing that they're focusing on, really, is Poku trying to maneuver the offense and do things that whatever he wants to do. So when that's going on, you can really accomplish some things on the offensive end, or stealing the ball and then having the fast break go your way this game. And I thought that was just fun to watch, because honestly, it's been a while, and I'd like to see it tonight.
Why do you like Poku so much? Do you just like saying his name?
I know. No, it's because I just love the player who is just like, who the hell? Because ever since Giannis, you get these players in the draft. It's like, who the hell are they? Who were they playing against in these films? Like, you have them every year now, maybe a couple of them. He's one of those. And I just love the fact that Bill Simmons hates him. He thinks he's going to be trash. But then he started out the season like a 10% 3-point percentage. And now he got it up to like 27%. So he's doing better. I'm just saying he's fun. He's a 7-foot guy, gangly. He'll get some beef on those arms later on in life. But right now he's like a playmaker. He's just fun to watch. On a team that has nothing to lose, he's the best player to be your captain, I think.
Sure, why not? He doesn't look anything like an NBA player to me. He doesn't look. Yeah, I mean, he's just he
looks like, just like Skeets from No Dunks. If anybody listens to those podcasts,
yes,
he looks exactly like that guy. So,
but he's like 6'11". You know, it's just Pokuševski. That was, I know that when we watched the NBA draft, we were watching it with one of your friends who is an Oklahoma City fan, and you were really high on him. And was he high on him as well?
I don't know. He's kind of iffy on him, like a lot of people. He's just, honestly, I haven't watched anything of him before he joined the NBA. I just think it's fun to watch him, and it's someone I want to be good, because a lot of people doubt this guy, and I just think he's a very confident guy that has a long way to go in the NBA. So we'll just see how it works out. But I don't know exactly how for sure he is about this guy, though.
I'll tell you this: it didn't work out very well for him tonight, or the entire Oklahoma City Thunder team. The Suns up 43-13 after one period. Devin Booker had 16 points. They had 13. Is the largest point differential in Phoenix Suns franchise history. And you mentioned a lot of the errors that they were making earlier in the game, and kind of just throughout the entire game. You know, missing shots, stepping on the end line, throwing the ball out of bounds, doing all the little things completely wrong. And obviously, it feels great as a Suns fan to watch them see a team play like this and not play down to the level of the competition. You know, that whole narrative. That didn't happen tonight. They took advantage of everything that the Oklahoma City Thunder were throwing at them. The Thunder ended the night with a total of 16 turnovers, and the Suns had 25 points off of those turnovers. That's how you play the game, man.
It is. And honestly, I love the face of Booker tonight. Like, just his look on his face was, let's just get the job done. Even when he came back in the game, they were having fun on the bench in the fourth quarter. But the whole first 3 quarters for Booker was just, let's get this done. Let's not mess around. You didn't see a lot of Booker shots where he just jacks up a 3. And a lot of the team, they stuck to the game plan. They played there wasn't anything that stood out to me to where I'm like, come on, son, that's kind of a little ridiculous. It never got that way tonight. And then they're playing against one of the youngest teams ever to start. I mean, they were the youngest team last game where they won. And the Suns were like the second youngest team ever when they lost some time ago. But when you're playing this young team, you kind of want to teach them. You kind of want it to be a practice for the Suns, and then they can learn some stuff. The Thunder can learn some stuff from the Suns. You know, you got veteran superstar out there, Devin Booker, showing them what to do along with Chris Paul. So I loved it.
Yes, I loved it too.
You're so chill tonight, dude.
I've had a couple of these Coors Light. I am just.
You're right.
I'm relaxed.
Did you take an edible?
I'm no, not yet. No, I'm very happy with the result of this game. This is the first time I've watched a Suns game, and due to the fact that they were completely and utterly whooping that ass, coupled with the fact that Major League Baseball has started, and you had the Final Four for the women's college basketball tournament was going on, and U of A was playing UConn. And shout out to the Lady Wildcats. They defeated UConn tonight, and now it's going to be the Wildcats versus the Stanford Cardinal in the ladies championship game. You know, I don't watch any college basketball, let alone ladies college basketball, but you know what? No. they were beating UConn, and fuck UConn. So I was watching some of that. This is the first time I've actually turned away from Suns games to watch other sports, is what I'm trying to say here.
Oh, really?
Yes, I was watching a little bit of the Diamondbacks game. I was watching some of the Dodgers game. We're in two fantasy baseball leagues together. So I'm just kind of monitoring what's going on, because I'm like, well, the Suns are up by fucking 30 in the third quarter. I'm going to take a break for a few minutes, and I'm going to go watch a little bit of baseball. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, it's a good night, man. It's a good night.
You could have missed precious Poku minutes, dude. That could have been Poku.
Darn it. I missed the Poku minutes. Goddamn, sat on the bench.
No, I mean, we all as Suns fans, we didn't earn this, but we needed this, right? I mean, no heart attacks tonight, just something easy on a Friday night. I mean, maybe those dinner plans you could have made at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock. This game ended at 9. So all the fans could have done whatever they wanted to do tonight, because a lot of time left tonight to do whatever they wanted to do. That made no sense.
I wanted to do things, and then therefore I did them. Well, I mean, this is the obvious. If you look at this season, we've played a lot of crappy teams close, or we've let them come back. And this was the first time since we played the New Orleans Pelicans in like game 5 of the season, in which it just was, we were on cruise control the whole game. I mean, they were really, really, really playing with a nice, easy pace, doing whatever they wanted. And again, that's what happens when you play a young team. They were the youngest team to ever win a game. And you go, so here's a fun game for you, Matthew. I was researching it. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns, once upon a time, started the youngest lineup ever. It was March 24th, 2017. Can you name that starting 5 for the Phoenix Suns?
Let's do this. All right.
Point guard was
Ulis.
Tyler Useless.
Second guy. The number 2 was hold on. Let me just do Bender, Chris, and then who would be center? What is it? Deandre Ayton?
Nope. No. This is 2017.
Oh, okay. So that's next year. I have no idea who's the other. So
the oldest guy on the team who started that night was Alex Len at 23 years old. Okay. Tyler Useless was the 21-year-old point guard.
Harsh, dude.
It's too easy. You had Devin Booker at 20 years old at shooting guard.
What am I doing?
Your small forward was Derek Jones Jr., who was 20, and your power forward was Marquise Chris, who was 19.
How did I not get? I guess DeAndre Ayton and not Devin Booker. What am I doing, dude?
I know. And you guessed Bender, and that was wrong too. But yes, that was the youngest team ever. And you go back and you look at that. That happened March 24th, 2017. That was right around the time when Devin Booker went for 70. But it also was it was right in the middle of March Madness, and at that time, the Suns, it was like the Elite Eight was going on, and I remember the Suns had a younger lineup than like 8 or 7 of the 8 teams in the college basketball tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just so unbelievably young. And like now you look 4 years later, at who we are as a team. And it's just like, now we're playing that team. We're going against a team. Now, obviously, it's a completely different team because the Oklahoma City Thunder not only have that young core that doesn't exist right now, just pretty much like we had. I mean, the only guy left off that who's still playing? Derek Jones Jr. is still playing in the NBA. Marquise Chris is like garbage. Len is around. And Tyler Ulis isn't playing. But they also have a gazillion picks in OKC. So, I mean, the future's definitely bright for them. And Code in the chat, Ulis wasn't that bad. No, he really wasn't. I just like to say Tyler Useless just because it sounds funny. But yeah, him and Alan Williams were a great combination together.
I remember we were so excited to have them back. Be like, no, they're going to be the best off the bench. A 2-man game they had going.
Yeah, they did that high pick and roll.
They were so good. They were so good.
He just couldn't play any defense. No defense whatsoever.
He was too small for his position, right?
Exactly. He just couldn't take off or take on anybody. Going back to the game tonight again, where the Suns won by a total of 37 points. Devin Booker, man, super aggressive as we mentioned. That dunk. The one where he went right and split the defense and threw it down like aggressively. Is that the best one you've ever seen by him?
Yeah. I mean, they showed the one in the bubble earlier today when Bally Sports was having a little technical issues, the pregame. So they showed the bubble stuff and they had that one dunk Booker had over Siakam. I think that's his best dunk. And that's like the best spur in Booker's franchise. I mean, in his history of playing, I think it's just those games in the bubble because he had the dunk and that shot. But also the one tonight was nice. And it's kind of like, oh, take it easy maybe on the third, but it's like, no, dude, just mantle these guys. You know, how many times have other players and other teams killed us and showed us up so many times? It's not really showing up, but it's just like dominating us. Like, all right, take it easy a little bit. And then the Warriors used to have their players coach against us. So as Suns fans, you remember all this stuff. So no matter who we are playing, I want the Suns to like be as aggressive and ferocious as they can against these teams, even if it's Booker dunking on, I can't remember who he dunked on. I don't remember who they had in that lineup at the time.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring up my favorite dunk of all time by him. I think we were at this game. I was at this game. I'm pretty sure I was there with you. This is where he goes right and all over AD. Bam.
Yeah, we were at that game.
Yeah. It was my favorite dunk of all time by him. I mean, just,
and we couldn't. I don't think we could see the replay though at all on the old screens. You know, they had the old screens, and you can barely see the replay. I think half of it was like yellowish for some reason.
Yes,
so.
Yeah. But we're like, oh man, that was a fantastic dunk. Yeah. But I mean, that's what when he dunked tonight. That's what that reminded me of. I was like, oh, that's aggressive. That's mean. I mean, you don't normally see that from him. And then of course, Javon Carter threw one down.
Yeah.
Did you know he could dunk?
Yeah, I mean, he's done it a few times, but what's even more beautiful is that he stole the ball against Ty Jerome. And if you notice, remember Ty Jerome when he played for the Suns? It was always a full court press against him. He had the hardest time getting out of it. Maybe that's why he's shooting 3-pointers from the logo now. He made that one. Maybe that's the only thing he can do. I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying it's funny he made that logo 3 because back in the day when he played for the Suns not too long ago, that full court defense killed him. He couldn't do anything against it. And Javon Carter reminded himself of that, and he went at him, and he took the ball, and that dunk was nasty, dude. I think it's fun when all these guys get involved, especially someone like Javon Carter, who saw some minutes last game a little bit, but then now played some more minutes this game, and he was back at it tonight, dude, with that defense.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I forgot about Ty Jerome, the TIE fighter. Remember that? We wanted the TIE fighters to happen.
We were searching
season.
for anything.
We were trying. We were like, hey, it's going to be Ty Jerome and Tyler Johnson, the TIE fighters. Like, those will be our backup guards. And, that's the future of this franchise on our old podcasts long time ago. And Javon Carter must remember that because Ty Jerome is, no athleticism whatsoever. 2 for 11 in this game, and I remember watching him play. I was just like, "Yep, that's the Ty Jerome we had," And he has played better this season because he's had a little bit more opportunity in Oklahoma City. But it reminded you that's like, listen, he's not an NBA player. I feel.
I mean, he was such a winner in college. It was kind of like one of those guys. Was like he has to do something, kind of like Mikal Bridges, right? I mean, they basically are the same player, playing together and. Just for a long time, 4 years, and you coming into the NBA, you thought like he'll be a decent backup of someone to help a team, but maybe he'll get there. Who knows? He seems like he still has a lot of confidence. So
he definitely does. I mean, he's shooting all those 3-pointers and such. But then we have Mr. Dario Saric. Okay, so the way that he played. You know what? I think it's time that we throw a new drop on here for the Jamsters. We're having a fun night, aren't we, Jamsters? A nice win.
Nice.
Let's have a new drop for the Sarge smoke break. A new section here on the Suns Jam Session podcast.
The Sarge smoke break.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yes, that is Matthew's niece, my stepdaughter Ashley, with the Sarge smoke break drop. She came down from NAU today, and I'm like, you've got to do this new.
I gotta have that framed.
That new
just
segment.
That picture of it.
Oh God! Well, and a quick shout out.
Yes.
I haven't seen him comment in the chat. But Johnny Go is the one who gave us the idea of calling it the Sarge smoke, or calling it at least the smoke break. Yes. And that's something that we mentioned on our last podcast that we need to have a drop for it. And we actually have our friends at the Phoenix Fans app who are going to give us a Super Dario Ballers shirt just to give to Johnny Go for coming up with that name. So Johnny Go, if you're watching this, please DM us on Twitter at SunsJam so we can get your information. We can get this shirt out to you. And thank you to the Phoenix Fans app for providing us with that shirt for him. And that just goes to show, we are a community. We are the Phoenix Suns community. And when we put our minds together, we get great things like this.
The Sarge smoke break.
I just love it because for those of you listening on the podcast, it's Dario Saric outside of his Circle K with a cigarette. Like, we just made it happen. Okay, we made it happen. So
my dream scenario of hanging out with any Suns player ever is just me smoking cigarettes with Dario Saric outside of a Circle K.
There you go. And that's the kind of production you get here on the Suns Jam Session podcast. So again, if you're watching along live in the chat, you can go ahead and donate via the super chat so we can keep coming up with fantastic production like that. But it all comes down to you guys and coming up with it. But that being said, watching Dario Saric play this evening, I got to ask, what percentage of the time does Dario hit the floor on a non-3-point shot attempt? What's the percentage?
My God. It has to be 90%, but it reminded me of last game. Do you remember that the rebound he had? He fell on the floor and it hit him in the face, the face rebound. And then tonight he got like fouled or something. He has the funniest, cutest plays ever. Dario Saric. They are just the funniest thing. Nothing like this ever happens to any other player in the NBA but Saric. And like tonight, like it was like one where he got like fouled and he just threw the ball up and it went in. On like the ugliest play ever. It was an assist from Chris Paul, the 2-man game they have going always, and I love to watch it. But it was the one that just went in nothing but net. Like, he just has the ridiculous things that happen to him, but they end up usually pretty good. Sometimes not so good, but they always end up in his favor. I don't know what it is, dude.
I don't know either. It's like the most unsexy, it's just so bad. It's so bad. And then somehow, some way, like you said, it goes in. And, kudos to him tonight. And someone needs to research that. Like, how many times did he hit the floor in just a game? I need like some average, because it's got to be at least like 7 times a game. Dario's just like on the floor, and he looks like he got punched outside of a Circle K because he tried to steal some cigarettes from somebody. He walked up to the cigarette container and grabbed like 3 refries and just grabbing. Somebody's like, "Those are mine."
And then last game too. Oh, sorry. Last game, before I forget, he had the one play where it was an offensive rebound, but he went to the rim and he thought he got fouled, and he started looking at the refs and like kind of arguing, and he got the offensive rebound and passed it to a wide open player for a 3.
Yeah, I know, that was like fantastic.
Do you remember that?
Hey,
yeah.
Man. He's like, "Oh, hey, here you go." Yeah, and
it was like he was trying to bum cigarettes. He was like trying to bum cigarettes off the ref while mid game, and it still worked out in his favor.
And yes, Felix says in the chat, Big Butt Super Dario finally has his smoking segment. Yes. The reason we have him smoking cigarettes is because we talk about his big butt and we call it a cigarette butt, and he just looks like some guy who'd be smoking cigarettes outside of Circle K. So that's the reason behind that. If you're watching this, you go, "What the fuck are these guys on? Like, well, how many edibles did they have today?" It's like, no, that's just kind of a running joke here on the Suns Jam Session podcast. But kudos to Dario. He hit his 500th 3-pointer tonight.
Yes.
500 for Dario Saric. Way to go, bud.
Did you see was this a real stat? 2,000 boards and 500, what were you just saying? Sorry, 500 what?
500 threes.
Threes. God, what is wrong with my mind? 500 threes, 2,000 boards, and he just passed like Dirk Nowitzki as like the fastest player to get to that. He's like number 3 on the list.
That's why he gets his own segment here.
Yeah, well earned, my man.
Well earned.
Our 2 superstars don't even have a segment yet, but we have Ayton watching Saric
and the Sarge smoke break. But 11 points for Dario, 4 for 9 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. So that 1-5 he hit, or that 3-pointer he hit, was the one that got him over to 500. So fantastic to you, Mr. Dario Saric. I hope you enjoy watching the Suns Jam Session podcast, knowing that you have your own segment here on the podcast. I don't want to nitpick. There was only one thing I think I can nitpick on this entire game, and that was just kind of the second quarter. It was the only quarter in which we were outscored by the Oklahoma City Thunder. We outscored them 43-13 in the first. 43-13, like ridiculous, man. The third quarter we outscored them 30-26. The fourth quarter 37-27. In the second, it was 37-30. At any point in this game, just tell me straight up, did you ever get an oh shit feeling in your stomach, like, oh, they're going to come back? Or was it just like...
Yeah, you get scared. I mean, it's going to happen every game. And honestly, it's like a scared feeling, but it's like a scared feeling only because you don't want a team to get back by 10 or 5, but the Suns can still pull it out. So you're not like heart attack. It's enough to get you scared, because EJ brought it up too. Like, this is a team you don't want to let get back because they have nothing to lose. Those are the scariest teams to play. Keep that lead above 20. Don't let it get any lower than that. It got to 18 at one time in the third, but they push it right back up. So I did get scared a little bit, but honestly, it didn't feel as bad tonight. Tonight was awesome. I took an edible. I'm feeling great. So I had no worry tonight.
Well, I didn't get scared at all because my edible was scaredy cat edibles. So,
oh my God.
So I was fine. But I mean, yeah, you see them give up, but they had a nice run at the end of the quarter. And then you mentioned when they got within 18, Monty called a timeout and the Suns went on a 21-12 run to end the third. And you're just like, okay, that was a great response that kept the game at a distance. We always had them kind of an arm's length away. It was truly and utterly a nice, easy, fun game to watch. As Felix says in the chat, Theo Maledon, definitely the Jack Taylor Award winner. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to pull out the because anybody who scored any point. Now, one thing you have to realize about like any game, you're gonna get somebody who goes off because unless we hold a team to like 20 points or 60 points total, there's gonna be one guy who just like comes out of nowhere and scores, especially when you're on a team full of nobody. So let's do the drop for Theo Maledon tonight.
The Jack Taylor Award for the guy who comes out of nowhere and scores a shit ton of points on you.
Mr. Maledon, the rookie, scored a total of 33 points on 10 for 18 shooting. Very efficient, 5 for 7 from downtown, 8 for 10 from the free throw line, had 5 rebounds and 3 assists as well. I don't know if you remember him, but he was a 34th overall pick by the Philadelphia 76ers. And ultimately came over to the Oklahoma City Thunder as a part of the trade that sent Danny Green to Philly. So kudos to him. What were your thoughts on Maledon's performance tonight? Because that was easily a career high.
No, yeah, it definitely was. It's a career high for a lot of these guys, I feel like, if they go over 30. So, but yeah, Theo, it's nice to watch this team, the Thunder, where they're having – it's not a fun season for them, but they absolutely could do whatever the hell they want. So you have a player like this that comes in, and it starts with their coaching, their front office, everything backs these guys that have confidence on the floor to do what they want. I mean, that's why Poku is a guy who maybe he was at, of course, over in Europe where he played. He's confident too. So you have him, Theo, anybody else can get that going because they have trust on this team, I think. And it's fun for them to play. They seem serious and they seem like they're attentive to the situation at hand whenever it comes to playing a good team like the Suns. Even though they got blown out, they're still going to do what they want to do on the court. Of course, it doesn't always go to plan because they're still very, very young. Some of these players might not even be there. But Theo Maledon, I kind of walked myself around it. I just don't know who he is.
Yeah, well, you don't know in these situations because it's every game for them is garbage time. They're a team that has a complete blank canvas, so they're going to sit there. They're going to just put all these assets out there, see what they have, see if anybody starts to develop. And maybe Maledon's one of those guys who eventually becomes part of one of their rotations. But 34 picks in the next 7 drafts. They're literally like the whole draft strategy is like, listen, no one in the NBA can get better because we have all of the draft picks. Like that must be what Sam Presti is doing right now. So they're definitely in, I wouldn't say tank mode, but just like see what the fuck we got mode. And we know, as we mentioned earlier, what that's like because 4 years ago, that was the Phoenix Suns. And we had Devin Booker. Booker was our Maledon. Now, granted, he hasn't done it nearly with the consistency that Devin Booker did early in his career, but he's a rookie too. So it's just like, it's going to be interesting to see who he becomes. And Suns fans will remember this night. They're like, hey, remember that night we kicked the shit out of him, but there was that one kid, Maledon. Like now he's like an all-star or something in like 5 or 6 years. Like I would not be surprised if something happens like that because the guy's a professional scorer. It's not like the Suns weren't sitting there trying to not play defense on him. Like he's forcing the issue, getting to the line, 5 for 7 from 3. Yeah, that's an aberration. Nobody's going to shoot at that clip for their entire career or even for an entire like 5-game stretch. But he's still going to he still has the ability to score in a lot of different ways on all 3 levels, and that bodes well for him moving forward in his NBA career.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I like that the Thunder, like as a franchise too, they already have the 20 wins. You know, the Suns you were talking about before, they would kill for 20 wins.
Jeez, that's why I always say like it's so hard to win in the NBA. Remember winning 19 games? Like Christ.
Yeah, I mean it's impossible. It used to be impossible for the Suns. So good on them. Maybe it has to do with the weird season we're having, you know, with COVID. So just catching some teams in the bad place, maybe.
I'm okay with it.
I gotta clear my throat.
Ayton Watch 2021.
Ayton Watch, sponsored by insert your name here.
Sponsored by Sarge cigarettes.
Sponsored by Sarge's Dirty Cigarettes, a used pack, found on the ground outside of NBA. So go ahead and donate in the super chat to the Ayton Watch Fund. Help him out. What did you see from Deandre Ayton tonight? A night in which he went for 9 points on 4 of 7 shooting, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. And what's really weird is he only had 1 block. It felt like he had like 7 in this game, but like none of them counted.
Yeah, I mean, he had some fouls on some blocks. I mean, his blocks, though, on those, like there was the one on the point guard where he put his hands on him, and it was something that Ayton doesn't usually do. He usually keeps his arms up straight, and then when he's going to block it, he'll just lower the other arm to try to block the shot. That's usually what he does down in the paint on defense. So tonight, it's kind of weird. I kind of just want to take a night off from Ayton Watch. I don't want to think too much into it because then I just started taking notes down. I'm just like, if Ayton could just pick it up a little bit, we can cream these guys, right? I don't know if you want to use the word cream, but you want to just shut them out. That's what you wanted to do. And I think we just needed Ayton to kind of step up a little bit. And he did in the third quarter. He helped us out. I think the first half he kind of coasted, which is fine to watch. I'm just going to take the night off because there's things I kind of wanted to say, but I just don't want to get into it. I want to enjoy this one. So
I felt like the majority of his points came via dunk. I mean, he had the alley-oop at the very beginning. Devin Booker hit him a couple times via the valley-oop. And that was kind of his night. He was trying to play a little bit of defense, but what was interesting about playing the Oklahoma City Thunder is a lot of the team didn't realize where they should be on the court. So they didn't really put themselves in positions. He was doing a lot of shot deterrence. Is what I'm trying to say. Is they'd kind of go into the paint and they'd be like, oh shit, there he is. So although he didn't necessarily have a great game offensively or defensively in the stat book, you look at some of his shot deterrence and it was acceptable. It was a game where you could tell he wasn't necessarily, I wouldn't say motivated, but his motor wasn't high. And of course, that's always the issue that we have with him is he is not always up for all the games, and when we play those big games, like Ayton's focused and locked in. But again, tonight's one of those nights I'm going to take a night off from him too because I don't know we didn't need it, man. We scored 140 points, You
almost got me to comment, but I'm just not going to say anything.
Just not going to do it tonight.
Next game, if he has a bad game, then I'll be like, hey, remember the game against the Thunder? And then I'll release it there. But right now, just enjoying this one.
Well, a fun thing for tonight is the fact that we had a total of 12 players play tonight. And every one of them scored, Matthew. Every last one of them, all the way down to Tyshawn Alexander getting his first points as an NBA player. Congratulations to Tyshawn on that from the University of Creighton. Jalen Smith got some minutes, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. The last guy I want to talk about from the starters was Mikal Bridges. Looked so fantastic tonight. 7 for 10 from the field. His only misses were from downtown. He had 17 total points, and he had 3 blocks. And he was the guy where you could tell the Oklahoma City Thunder just didn't understand how long he was because he was doing some nasty blocks on guys who were trying to drive into the paint and throw up some runners, man. He
was. Offensively, though, I loved to watch him getting to the rim. There's a few times where he was up there around the rim. I'm like, how long is he hanging up there for? Or is it just like his body's on the ground, but his arm's just still up there? Like the way he finishes around the rim, it's remarkable because you don't have a guy that really did anything like that the last 2 seasons. But then this season, it seems like he's been working on it so much. And I know when you're playing against the Thunder, it might be a little easier. These guys, they're not shot blockers. They don't know what to do around the rim defensively. But he was just finishing at will like he wanted to. And he got the ball up and under so many guys so quickly. And I don't know. It was just another thing I saw tonight. He just continues to amaze me, man. And I'm not going to go back to Ayton Watch at all. I swear. That's it. I'm done.
No, we're done with Ayton Watch. On to the other draft pick from 2018. I'm with you. It's just Mikal Bridges is one of those guys who you could see his potential every time he plays because he plays the right way. He gets himself started on defense, and when it translates to offense like it does on nights like tonight, that's when you can truly see what his potential is. He's somebody who is just – he has an offensive skill set that he truly hasn't tapped into. And every now and then you see a flash of it. And we've talked about it for a year on this podcast, how he doesn't realize how long he is until he drives, puts the ball up towards the rim, and all of a sudden, like every guy's going to block it and everybody's missing that ball. And he's just like, oh shit, that's an easy layup. And it's just fun to see him be as engaged as he was in offense tonight. Ultimately, I would like it if he was our third option on offense with Ayton being fourth. And I'm not going down Ayton Watch, but I really would like that because he's just so versatile. Yes. And I really think that games like this, again, it's definitely inferior competition that we played against tonight. No doubt about it. Everybody, I mean, we scored 140 points. We scored 43 points in the first quarter. Like, this was a fun, easy game. But what made it fun and easy was the fact that you had people like Mikal Bridges playing in the manner in which he played tonight.
Yeah, and I wrote the article a week ago of Mikal Bridges being the third option. Like, he has to be. His handles are so great. Because, I mean, he catches so many passes in the paint on fast breaks, and it looks very, very easy for him. He fumbles nothing off his knees. He doesn't miss a step towards the rim trying to catch the ball. It seems very easy for him. And his jump shot, too. The last 2 games, he's been hitting some elbow jump shots where he's just left wide open. Nothing but net. So this guy's offensive game is going to evolve so much towards the end of the year into next season. That's like that's the thing I'm like most excited about for the Suns team is Mikal Bridges, his evolution, and also just him getting more touches. That's what I want to see.
It'll be definitely a topic of conversation once we hit the offseason is what do we pay him? How much do we pay him? Considering that he's going to be eligible at the end of the season for a contract extension along with Deandre Ayton. And I think you can ask every Suns fan down the line, except for a few Stan accounts, and they're going to say, pay Mikal the money. Now, that's not a max contract, I don't think, at this point in his career, but he's definitely going to get some money, and it'll be interesting to see how they carve that out. Obviously, it's easier to pay him when his contract is up, and that's at the end of the CP3 contract, but it's definitely going to be a topic of conversation. Again, nights like tonight vindicate why he could do that. I was talking to a guest of mine who actually is staying at our hotel. He's a very big hoops fan, and we're just talking basketball, and he's like, I've got Mikal Bridges on my fantasy team, and he's fantastic. I got him like the 10th round. It's like, yeah, because he's a stat stuffer. I mean, he does everything, man.
Yeah, and he doesn't get enough recognition around the league either, because I know Deandre Ayton made a big showing on the jump. Hold on one second.
Edibles.
Damn. Whoa. Yeah, he made the big showing on the jump with my favorite, Rachel Nichols.
Yeah, Rachel Nichols.
That was fun.
I instantly thought of you, buddy.
Yeah, I know, every time. But it's like, Ayton should be on there, of course, but it's like Mikal Bridges, I feel like, just is that third guy on this team that just contributes so much, and he's overlooked, but like next year, he's going to be getting a lot of looks. He is.
He is, without a doubt. And he's already starting to get some of that national recognition. And shout out to Bees for throwing some cash down in the super chat. And he's got the question as, one he calls us absolute legends. That's false, but we appreciate the comments. Thoughts on the James Jones interview? I like that he spoke on the free throw struggles. It was really nice how James Jones came on and talked for pretty much the entire second quarter. What was your takeaway from that, Matthew?
I mean, my first takeaway is a perfect game to start that, right? In the second quarter, because, I mean, nothing was really going on. The Suns were killing it. I mean, dude, okay, wait. Okay, there you go. All right. So, yeah, James Jones on the free throw thing you were talking about, and I actually spoke about it earlier, where he's just not too worried about it because they're doing such a great job in other areas of the court. He's just so chill, and I love that he talks about Deandre Ayton too, just being young, and everyone forgets. You bring it up all the time. How many games did he play? Like 160 games in the NBA, where he's just still so young. So he just has so much confidence in this team, while we're blowing lesser team out, and while we're the second best team in the league. Like, he's just a flat out big dog, dude. He's just amazing man to have as our GM.
I really am in love with the fact that we have James Jones and Monty Williams as our head coach and our general manager of this team, because they both are just, I've seen it before. I've seen the interviews with Ryan McDonough, and I felt like it was very politically correct answers. Like, he's going to tell you exactly what you want to hear. Whereas James Jones really gave us some insight, I feel, onto the team, because yes, the free throw struggles is something we talk about as fans all the time. We're just like, why can't we get to the line? He's like, listen, it's not the end of the world because we're so good at other things. And yes, the Deandre Ayton aspects and things that he mentioned relative to DA, but also just kind of, how this team has persevered going through the bubble, the steps that they had to take to get where they are, and talked about how, not too long ago, this team was bad. And now we're the second best team in the Western Conference and one of the top 5 teams in the NBA. And just kind of the manner in which he talks. I love having James Jones as our general manager.
And when he was hired, like, a lot of people in the media, especially like Bill Simmons, talked about, what's that hire? Like, what does that even mean? Oh, Monty Williams, what is this? Like, he's not even a winning head coach. This whole thing has just worked out so well. And I think as a Suns fan, we always try to believe when McDonough got hired, I was like, I trust this guy. What he did with the Celtics, I trust what he's going to do. But for real this time, because it's working out, I trust everything he's doing. But
of course, winning cures all, brother. Winning cures all.
Yeah, you can't question anything he does now, right? I don't think so.
You can, but you'd be wrong to do so, in my opinion. Thanks again, Bees, for that huge.
Thank you.
Appreciate that very, very much.
Jam star of the game.
All right. It's your reminder once again that if you're watching along live with us, to go ahead, subscribe, rate, and review. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us one of those 5-star reviews. And if you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us one of those little thumbs up buttons. Shout out to everyone in the chat who has done so far. And shout out to the one person who gave us a thumbs down. I don't know why, but we'll try to do better next time.
Probably because of my phlegmy throat.
It's probably because Matthew's just over there hawking loogies like it's nothing.
Yep.
But if you are watching along live, can you please let us know who you think the jam star of the game is? Some initial thoughts that we have going on. Nobody said anything. So, Matthew, who do you think is the jam star of the game?
You know what? I don't know. I'm going to have to give it to Mikal and Booker, but just Mikal, just because he's just in a game where it shouldn't matter what you're really doing on offense, on defense, like you kind of coast through. It doesn't matter to him. He fits so well with this team where they're so focused to get these wins, even though the last 4 or 5 games, it's been hard to close out some lesser teams. But Mikal just doesn't care. He's always there to help the Suns team. He won't settle for 3. I know he made 2 of his 5 tonight, but he was getting to the rim. Everything that I love him to do. That's the reason. But Booker, 16 points in the first quarter. It's just, I love first quarter Book. I do. It sparks everybody's energy. It gets the rest of the team going. That's what he did tonight. So I'm going to give it to both of them. I think they should share it tonight just because I don't think we give it to Book enough. So I'm going to have him share with Mikal Bridges.
Well, you got a lot of different answers in the chat, which is great. It's one of those games where so much happened and so many points were scored. You give it to a lot. Javon for that dunk. Tyshawn Alexander is the jam star of the game because he got his first points. Cam Johnson, how he finally had a good bounce back game. CP3, whose statistics we haven't even mentioned. CP3, 17 points on 8-8 shooting, 1 for 1 from downtown, 12 assists, 17 and 12, 5 rebounds for CP3. So, there really is no wrong answer for tonight. I am going to give it to Booker Williams. I was reading Monte wrote here, Monte Williams for taking the night off. Booker Williams. I'm going to give it to Devin Booker. 32 points, 11 for 20 shooting, 7 for 7 for the free throw line, 3 for 5 from downtown, 5 assists as well. Those lobs he was throwing to DA, I love that more and more. I love Big Wood Book. I love that. That's a good one. But I really liked watching him play again tonight. He makes it look so easy. And we don't give him the jam star enough on this podcast. And he really is. He's our primary scorer. We're always looking for reasons to give it to somebody else because we expect it from Booker. He's your guy who scores 25.5 points a game. As Jesus Mendoza says, the whole damn team gets the jam star. That's the right answer. 140 goddamn points. We beat the living shit out of this team as well. We should.
What is our problems though, man? Chris Paul, just a perfect game. We overlook a lot of this.
Banquet beers are jam stars. I love it. Yeah, mine's empty and I'm pissed because I didn't bring 2 in here. Damn me.
You need to get more loaded. Are you going by the fire tonight? Oh, it's a little hot.
No. It's a little hot. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do after this, though, is I got HBO Max. I'm going to watch King Kong vs. Godzilla on HBO Max.
I watched the first 10 minutes, but then I didn't have time. I had to come rush over to my house, watch the Suns game, do some work. So I'll finish it right after.
Nice. We'll FaceTime each other and we'll talk like, oh my God, see Godzilla? You see what he did to King Kong right there? Like, oh my God.
If I get scared, make sure you help me, all right?
Of course. I'll walk in.
Just
turn on all your lights. That's step 1. Jalen Smith got a jam star. Let's talk about Stix.
Did we talk about him? Yeah.
Let's talk about Stix. Okay. So Stix, is one of those guys who he's kind of like, when it comes to the Suns, everything's going right. So one of the things that people like to talk about is how they love to see Stix develop. Yes. And it's kind of that catch-22 ultimately. Like when you draft a rookie and you're playing very well, you're not going to get a chance to develop him because you're playing well and it's not because of him. Think back to the 7 seconds or less era. The Suns drafted Luol Deng, Rajon Rondo, And they didn't necessarily need them on the team because they didn't have time to develop rookies. They were already kind of set in their offensive ways, so they traded them for assets further down the line, which ultimately didn't bring them much in return. You look at Jalen Smith, and I know that we're both fans of them. I know I'm a fan. I'm pretty sure you're a fan of him, correct?
I don't know what I'm thinking about him, so it's hard to be a fan right now.
I'm a fan of him, of the idea of him. Like, he addresses the need for the Suns. I think that he, in time, when developed properly, could be the answer to a lot of the questions that we have, relative to backup bigs, things of that nature. But I also know that with the team winning and playing the way they are, outside of games like this, a lot of the games have been close, and those aren't games where you want to put him in and see him develop, because every possession is vital to the success of being a winning ball club. So again, it's that catch-22. So everybody's always talking about, hey, I want to see Stix. I want to see Stix. I want to see the goggles, like, put him in the game. And I've always kind of been like, no, you don't need to do it. You're winning. And he doesn't play any defense, like, whatsoever. That's exactly the challenge with him, is he doesn't understand professional rotations. It's not something he saw in the Big Ten when he was playing at Maryland. And, he was better on the offensive end at Maryland, but he's not getting those opportunities in the NBA. And so I wrote down some of his possessions tonight. So he comes in the game. We got 6 minutes of Stix tonight, okay? The first thing he did, he's had a foul on Maledon. And then he had an offensive foul on a moving screen. Then he missed a jumper. Then he missed a three. Then he missed a turnaround in the paint. And then I stopped watching because I had to come in here and start prepping for the pod. And I saw that he ended with a total of 4 points on 1 for 4 shooting. He had 1 rebound. Oh, 2 points. I'm sorry. 2 points. You're correct.
Had
1 turnover, 2 personal fouls. So that just shows you, in that short amount of time that he's getting, that's not enough for him to develop. He's going to need, as Code just mentioned in the chat, he needs a training camp. He needs time to develop. I don't want to watch him develop in the middle of a season when we're putting up wins and we're 34-14. It's just not the time. And we can't have our cake and eat it too. It's not like, again, to win basketball games, tonight's the exception. We had 12 guys score. You generally, you don't need the 15th guy on the bench to always get minutes. I mean, what do we want to be? Do we want to be a team that develops sticks or a team that wins games? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if he were to contribute right away, he would develop, I guess, but he can't contribute right now, right? He just needs like that full training camp. He needs something to help him along the lines of getting kind of fresh with this NBA season. I think that he just didn't have that opportunity. So since that happened, I mean, you're getting a guy out there like tonight, his body language is like really bad, dude. He kind of looked like it was like he was watching his son or something where he should have been at the game with his boys or something. He's just like walking around. I mean, maybe that's just him, but he just didn't look like he really believed in himself out there. And I think the Suns bench, like we saw from Tyshawn where he made his first free throw, like they were yelling. You heard him over everything, like so happy for him to get his first point as a Sun. Like that's the bench, that's the crowd around him. They're really supportive. But whether or not he believes in himself, I mean, that's really hard, right? Because I think he might not right now. And he knows like he can't really contribute because he doesn't understand the game. He needs more minutes, and he does. I mean, we talk about Ayton all the time. He needs more minutes. He needs more reps. It's the same thing with this guy. So he'll get his time. Maybe it's on another team. Maybe he won't be a Sun in the future. Who knows? But you're right. Whatever the Suns have going right now, there's really no time, or there's not really a time to give him the minutes, and to watch him develop. And I think we're okay with that. I mean, the reason we don't probably have Halliburton on this team is because we have our backup point guards in Campaign and Javon Carter, the guys we signed in the offseason. So I think we really believe in Campaign coming back. So we don't have Halliburton. And of course, maybe that's a guy a lot of people think of, but it shouldn't be. Like you brought up the old Suns with Rajon Rondo, and we could have kept him, I guess, but there was no room. There was no time.
There wasn't. It would have been nice in the long run, but who knows if he would have turned out to who he was, given if he was playing, behind Steve Nash. Instead, he went to the Celtics, a team that was struggling at the time, and grew into the Rajon Rondo that we now know. And another one of the challenges, I see some people mention it in the Felix says it right here. He says, the Suns sent him to the G League, but only for a few games. Why? Because the G League was only 15 games long this season. It started in February in a bubble. They ended it March 6th, and it was over. So even the G League wasn't an opportunity to send him down this year for more development, because that's what we needed from him. That's why the G League is so valuable, is for people like him, given everything, all the X factors this season. It would have been a great opportunity for him to just get minutes, get reps, gain confidence, as you mentioned. And he just didn't get that this year. So, I mean, that's kind of everything I have on Stix.
Yeah, I mean, nothing much. I mean, we were looking forward to minutes for him, and we got him.
Of course,
dude.
and we got him. And I wasn't impressed.
I mean, I didn't think I was going to be impressed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
it's just good to see him out there, though. But I hope he has some confidence in himself to put up some good minutes in the future.
Someday, some way, somehow, he's going to be good.
Guess what?
All right. Guess what? As we went into this game, we asked the question, who was going to win, the Suns or the Thunder? We both said Suns. Therefore, I'm at 20-12. Matthew, you are 23-9. So guess what? You're still up by 3 games on me. I still wish when Suns Geek was on here, he would have picked against you. But but next up for the Suns, enjoy the weekend, Suns fans. We don't have any Suns games. There's no Saturday game, no Sunday game. The next time we play is 5 o'clock on Monday at the Houston Rockets. Matthew, what are your thoughts on the Rockets?
If it wasn't this game against the Thunder with the blowout win, it would have been the next one. Maybe it's another blowout win, though, because if it was a close game tonight, I think this game would have been the blowout. But the poor Rockets, I mean, where are they? Who knows? They're a little lost right now. Rebuild, not really. They're kind of just stuck in the middle. Kind of when the Suns lost Steve Nash in a way. James Harden walked away. A lot of people aren't very happy with him and what he did, but I think he needed to do what he needed to do to get out of there. But I know we don't want to talk about that. We just want to talk about the matchups. Who really knows with this Rockets team? I mean, I think they're just a little lost right now, dude. So you're going to get a team kind of like not as bad as what the Thunder are. Maybe not as bad, but honestly, when I think about it, maybe they are as bad. So this might just be another blowout. It should be something the Suns really just, take care of business game, right, John?
It should be a TCOB game, man. I mean, relative to the Oklahoma City Thunder, they definitely have more talent. I mean, John Wall's on the team. You still have Eric Gordon. I know that they have Kelly Olynyk is there now, so who could potentially be a buyout candidate. And I'm so glad that
buyout too, right?
What's it? Yeah, Boogie's gone. Yeah,
is he gone?
Yeah,
I was gone. Like, right when I said that, I'm like, wait, is he even on the team?
Yeah, he's gone. I'm so glad that Suns Twitter hasn't gone down the Kelly Olynyk rabbit hole. Like, no Kelly Olynyk, we don't need him on our team. He plays no defense. I get the guy's 6'11", but he plays no defense. He's not going to give us anything that we want. He's a 6'11" kind of big guy who can shoot. But I mean, you go and you look at this Rockets team. They've won 2 games in like the last 20. They're 13-34, 14th in the Western Conference. They have the 25th best offense relative to points per game and the 22nd worst defense. Defensive rating 16th out of the league and 27th on offense. So they're a team that just isn't cohesive on offense. And given the fact that the Suns play really good defense, we should have the ability to shut them down and not allow them to get into any kind of game flow. As we ask the question, who's going to win? Obviously, I say Suns. You say Suns too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you said Rockets, I'm like, oh my God, it's April Fool's. Yeah,
someone said it might be a trap game, Sundog, but I don't know. I forgot what I called it.
It could be because after that, the Suns, come home on Wednesday and play the Jazz, and that's the big game, man. That's the big. And then the next night they play the Clippers. So this is your last kind of get right game. If you want to try some things out, if you can get a big lead, you want to start trying some things out, go for it against the Rockets because the Jazz come to town next Wednesday, and I know.
Stretch.
Yes, sir. It gets really fun there. Not trap game. Why don't we write this down? What the fuck do you call it?
Called?
Setup game.
Setup game.
It's one of those Matthew Lissy setup games. Who knows, man? So on that note, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Thoughts? Brains?
I don't know if you have any thoughts you want to put out there. What's going on in the NBA? How's your fantasy baseball team doing? What's going on, Matthew?
If you want to talk fantasy baseball,
go for it. What do you got?
I drafted Luke Voigt. I know. I texted you. I drafted him in the night.
That was your first offensive player.
Yeah, it was like the night before he was injured and he had surgery on his knee. Or I don't even know what it was, but he's out for 2 months. So I don't know. It's going to be fun. For some reason, I love fantasy baseball. I love watching the Yankees. I'm a big Yankees fan. So sorry, guys. For some reason, I'm a big Yankees fan. I grew up a Yankees fan. But yeah, I mean, fantasy baseball is always fun to play. But I want to talk about too. Stephen A. Smith thinking Devin Booker. He's a star now, right? I mean, he's a superstar. I think we're hearing that a lot. So I wanted to ask you, like, getting into the media thing where the Suns are going to be talked about a lot more. Do you even care? Because I don't even watch, like, even the jump with Deandre Ayton. I didn't even finish it. Like, I just don't care what these guys are suckered into for interviews and how like all of a sudden they're going to be in the spotlight. Like, I just don't pay too much attention to that. Do you?
No, and here's why. Because fuck all those guys, man.
There you go.
All they did was trash the Suns for years. You know, Rachel Nichols and The Jump have trashed the Suns for years. And, you know, talked about Devin Booker as an empty stats guys. And now they all want to suck up to Big Dick Book and tell him how great he is. And you know what? Devin Booker ain't falling for that shit either. He's going to just go along with his business and pay it no never mind, if you will, because it doesn't matter. The talking heads need something to talk about. The Suns are a hot team. Is it nice when you turn on something and you see the Suns logo there? You're like, oh, sweet, somebody is actually talking about us. But like, I guess I'm somebody who's scorned because for 10 years we've sucked, and for 10 years we've been the punching bag for these talking heads. You know, every time they want the Knicks, who sucked ass too, to do anything, it involves a Phoenix Sun and it's Devin Booker's. You know, he wants out. They've tried to create those narratives, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So if they want to sit there and say, "Great," I'm not consuming the content.
Yeah, I think it's just more of me growing up, and I used to always hang on every word like Colin Cowherd used to say. Anything Bill Simmons said, like all these guys in the media, I'd be like, okay, like they're talking about the Cowboys, they're gonna win the Super Bowl. Okay, yeah, I'm excited. You know what I mean? And now I just don't care. It's just a big show, obviously, right?
Yeah, whatever. I don't give two shits. Sorry.
Right.
It's the edible. Pro Baller 602 says, "Yo, this pod is becoming so repetitive. I'll show you something that's new."
The Sarge smoke break.
I love it so much.
I love it too, dude. I can't wait till he has a real game we can talk about too.
I can't wait till he's on the podcast and he's like, "Yo, I do smoke cigarettes a lot." So on that note, I think I'm going to wrap up the podcast if that's okay with you, Matthew. Reminder to everybody who's watching along live. Thank you again. Hit the thumbs up button. Go ahead and subscribe. If you're in the super chat and you donate to the pod, we truly appreciate it. It helps us keep, buying new equipment so our podcast can get better and better. If you're listening along live not live, but if you're listening later on the Bright Side of the Sun Podcast Network, we thank you for that as well. Go ahead, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember that you can consume both Matthew and I's content on brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow us at Suns Jam on Twitter, Instagram, and the Phoenix Fans app. You can follow me on Twitter at Darth Foyda. You can follow Matthew on Twitter.
At Matthew Lissy.
And on that note, I'm going to go watch King Kong vs. Godzilla. Don't tell me who won in the chat. I'm not going to look anymore. Everybody have a good night.
All right, you too.
Great Suns victory.
All right, I won't go home. Love your family. Or love your Kongs.
Look, is that who won? God damn, Matthew.